Hello everybody, and welcome to our series of God who revealed himself in the Old Testament. And we're looking at some of the names that God revealed himself by, because every time God shows up somewhere and he reveals himself in a certain aspect of his nature, he gave himself a name, and that name was a revelation. It was an aspect of hey guys, this is who I am. And so we've been looking at those in this series just to get a better view of our God and to get a better knowledge of our God. And today we're going to look at El Roi, which means the God who sees me. Abraham had given Sarah an Egyptian maid, and she'd been serving Sarah, and you know some of the story. But there'd been family friction, and Hagar had been persecuted and abused and by Sarah, and she eventually decides she's just going to run away into the desert, and she's going to escape the pain of her circumstances. And after a while, she's out there alone, and she's facing death. And right at the time when she's the most hopeless, God shows up and calls her by her name. And it's fascinating. Up until this time in the narrative, she's just been called that servant, your servant or my servant, by Abraham and Sarah. But God shows up and he knows her name, and he gives her the dignity of calling her by her name. And she turns around and in Genesis 16 from verse 13, it says she gave this name to the God who spoke to her. She said, "You are the God who sees me," for she said, "I have now seen the one who sees me." And that's why the well is called Bir Lahai Roi. It means the well of the living one who sees me. And it is still there today according to the scriptures. Now you may be in a similar situation to Hagar, asking some really honest questions. Does God really know me? Does he really see what I'm going through? God, will you ever act on my behalf? Or are you willing to save me? And then if you're one of those people who are feeling those things, then I just want to say today's devotion is exactly and especially for you. We're looking at the reality that there is a God who sees us. We have come to the place of the well of the God who sees. El, as we've understood, is the word which means mighty and strong and powerful. And sometimes when it's used in plural, it means Elohim, gods. But this one, El Roi, the God, the powerful God who sees. The one who created you, because you were fearfully and wonderfully made by him. And the New Testament says you're his workmanship created in Christ Jesus. The one who dreams big dreams for you. The one who watches over you. As the psalmist said, the one who watches over you will never slumber or sleep. He'll never take his eye off you. And this is the God who Jesus said knows when a sparrow falls to the ground, he knows about it, and you're worth so much more than many sparrows. He said even the hairs on your head are numbered. So you've come to the God who watches over you, the God whose eye is upon you, and he's the God who invites you today to come, call on him, to seek him, to ask of him, to knock on any unopened doors, and he is the God who sees and will engage with you. He's the God who sees you, El Roi, and he will never forget you, and he will never look away from you. And if you've given your life to Jesus, then you have made an eternal covenant with a God who sees you, and he is bound by his oath, and he's bound by his covenant, and neither of those will he ever break. You are his, and no one will ever be able to take you out of his hand. So I want to encourage you today to come to him and call on the God who sees you and present your requests to him, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your heart and your mind. He sees and he knows, and he's waiting for your call. We want you to know we're missing you. We're praying for you as often as we can. We can't wait to get back together again. God bless you.